Welcome in, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Red, White, and Ruthless. We are less than 24 hours away from the start of the NFL season, and this is the best time of the year because we get to tell our wives every single week that for 12 hours on Saturday and Sunday, we will not be able to help them out whatsoever. This is what we paid dividends into the entire offseason, and we had to go to the car wash. We had to go to the malls. We had to take them out to dinners and everything. This is the time that we paid for. And now we get 4 months of football back in a row. Actually, more than that. We get about 6 months of football back. But this is the best time of the year for me. I am joined by my best friend and partner in crime, as always, Sean Kula of the Red, White, and Bills. Sean, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing amazing. Can't wait for 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Less than 24 hours, man, and it's going to be a fun time. We have a lot to talk about today on our Red, White, and Ruthless pregame show, but first, we have to get into the intro. So without further ado, we will do our intro. We are back, boys. It is the best time of the year. Football is back. Buffalo Bills football and the time of our lives is coming back. Fall. That's my favorite time of the year when football season begins. We have hockey. We have football, tennis going on. MLB is going on. NHL is right around the corner. So it's going to be a great time of the year, as always. But let's talk about our Buffalo Bills, as always. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and also don't forget that in the description below is our Discord channel where you can talk to us throughout the entire week about the Buffalo Bills. Click on over to that, and also don't forget to click the subscribe button on Nickel City Mafia, Red, White, and Bills, and Go Bills podcast. Today we are going to talk about the Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo Bills pregame show. And Sean, I want to start off with the offseason additions that the Bills have made. And let's talk about some of the subtractions that we have, because the media is kind of writing off the Buffalo Bills right now in terms of what's going on with all the new players on the team. And this is one of those days where they're talking about Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and how we're not going to be the same team. So let's talk about some of the additions that the Bills have made in the offseason, just kind of get some fans that maybe don't know about the Buffalo Bills. Maybe they're Arizona Cardinals fans. Let's get to talk about the Bills and the additions that they made.
Yeah, well, Curtis Samuel being one of them, he's probably going to be on offense, one of the bigger additions. And again, we don't even know much about him either. Like I said in my pregame show, everybody mentions how his best year was with Joe Brady, but that Carolina Panthers team was 100% different than the team we have now. So I don't know how he's going to use them. It might be the similar way, but it might be totally different. So this offense is going to be just as new to us as it is to anyone else. So should be interesting. But guy like Curtis Samuel, he's not a superstar, but he's a good enough player where he's going to make plays for you. And that's the theme with this team, really. There's budding stars who looked really good last year that you're anticipating take a big step, like Dalton Kincaid and Khalil Shakir and James Cook. And you're hoping that they even elevate even more than last year to become stars. And then we'll be talking differently than we are preseason. Excuse me. But, it's a lot of unknown. But guys like Curtis Samuel are going to be – and Cole Bishop, Mike Edwards, I don't know. They're probably going to play, but they're not starting. They're two new guys in the back. So, we'll see.
Yeah, I got a little bit of hate in the chat right now from Bills fan CA coming in saying Brett's wearing the Dolphins orange shirt. Unfortunately, I'm actually wearing an Under Armour shirt, so it's not really the orange color. It's more of a salmon color, and it just because of the camera and the way that the light works out, it's more of that Miami Dolphins orange that comes out. But hey, guys, I got to throw out the Miami colors this week because if I do it next week, then it's going to look like I'm trying to pay tributes to the Miami Dolphins, and I'm trying to give them some bad mojo. So, yeah, Sean, I mean, the offense is going to be totally different this week, and it's going to be kind of the theme of the year will be, thrown into the open man. And I think that this is going to take a lot of pressure off of Josh Allen to try and get the ball to just one receiver rather than that you have a bunch of weapons that are out there. And it reminds me so much of what we saw earlier today in terms of another New York team in the Syracuse Orange. And what they did out there on the field is very similar where they had Kyle McCord out there on the field. And he's just slinging the rock around the football field, getting it to the wide open guys. And you saw what he did. He put up a lot of yardage. And I think that's what
he's been great. It's so nice to finally have a good quarterback in Syracuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, to that point, Brett, too, I'm still waiting to see that for our team because I really don't think there's a problem. I know I'm not saying you do, but I know a lot of people now that Diggs is gone, they like to say, oh, we don't need that. We don't need a guy to get 170 targets. But if Dallas came up to you right now and said, hey, we'll give you CeeDee Lamb for a 7th-round pick, all Buffalo would be like, yeah, let's do that. We need CeeDee Lamb. Because, yeah, you might be focusing on the guy, but there's a reason you're doing that. And that's another thing I also mentioned is Josh Allen's going to find his own number one receiver, whether the mantra is everyone eats or not. There's going to be one guy that stands above the rest with target share and, ability. So we say that now. A lot of us say, oh, everybody eats now. But then when Dalton Kincaid gets 15 targets in a game and Curtis Samuel gets 5, nobody's going to say, oh, why doesn't he have 7 and Kincaid have 7 and Shakir have 7 and, Coleman have 7? It's not going to be like that. So the other thing for me too is, you mentioned it might be less pressure for Josh, which I agree it probably could be. But then what if it's just as much or more pressure because he's like, well, now I got to make sure everybody's getting the ball, instead of like he sees the open guy and then, he might be like, oh, I already threw to Kincaid 6 times, so I'm going to move on to Shakir, who I only threw it to once. Like, I'm not saying he's going to think like that, but if it's pushing everybody has to eat, what if he starts overthinking and he's like, oh, well, if I throw it to him too much, it might throw everything off. So we'll just have to see, but it's new. So, we gotta hope that everyone is bought into it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think everybody is bought into it. I do want to say hi to everybody in the channel. I am putting your messages out here on the board as they are coming in. Weston, Bills fan CA, Dennis, we see you in the chat as well. By YS or buy stocks, but it comes out to Buffalo 31-17. Appreciate you coming into the chat. Buffalo 30, Cardinals 24. Dennis, appreciate that as well. Dennis,
the only reason why I mentioned that, Dennis, is because it should always be that even with a number one receiver, whoever's open gets the football. That's the only reason why I'm like, this isn't a new philosophy. Brady's not reinventing the wheel saying everybody eats, because whether you have Tyreek Hill or not, you should always be throwing it to the open guy. And it's just 9 times out of 10, the open guy is your number one receiver, like Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. So I just got to see how it's going to be. And, it's got a high potential, so it's exciting. But, every week could be different. One week we can run the ball heavy. The next week we can air raid. The next week we can dice up the middle of the field. It's, it's going to be interesting because we have a lot of skill sets of different people. It's not just, all we can do is throw downfield, so it'll be definitely fun to see.
Definitely. And let's talk about the other side of the ball with a new number one target for Kyler Murray in Marvin Harrison Jr. Sean, what do you think of Marvin Harrison Jr., number one? And number two, what do you expect to see from the offense of the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, well, Marvin Harrison's probably the biggest. I know it doesn't seem like that long ago, but probably the biggest receiver prospect since Jefferson. And even Jefferson wasn't even looked at as a top 5 guy because he went 22. But yeah, he's got everything. He's got the hands, the speed, the ability, the big body, just everything you'd want in a receiver. And when you look at the Arizona Cardinals offense, granted last year they didn't have a healthy Kyler Murray the whole year. When he came back, it was a year after the ACL, so he's still getting back into things. They got the emergence of Trey McBride, the tight end. James Conner's still there, who's an absolute beast. So it's not going to be an easy thing just to hold them to 0 points. Plus, Kyler Murray's a dynamic quarterback who also was in the MVP conversation when they were 10-0 that one year when they were the last undefeated team.
Right.
They had DeAndre Hopkins, I think. So it's not like we're going to go out there and shut them out. But not Cliff Kingsbury, John Gannon is a great offensive-minded head coach because you saw what they did last year with not great teams. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys. They were in a ton of games. It's just their defense was kind of lacking. So, now that you had a whole offseason, a healthy Kyler Murray, added a guy like Marvin Harrison, who's a generational talent. James Conner's, up there, top 10 running back, in my opinion. And you got Trey McBride, who's emerging as a great tight end. I'm not going to say he's top 5 or anything, but a great young athletic kid. If you're not playing great defense, then they can easily dice up and down the field, especially if you let Kyler get outside the pocket and scramble and make things happen with his legs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And another name to keep in mind is Michael Wilson there in the offense as well. He's somebody that last year was pretty much the number 1 target besides Trey McBride. And I think that he's going to have a good season as well. Don't be surprised if he's going to be the guy that gets open a little bit in this game. He did have 565 yards last season on 3 touchdowns as well. So he's somebody that I think will make an impact in this game going up against Taron Johnson or Christian Benford.
Yeah, so and Dortch is an underrated guy too. Greg Dortch, he made some plays for him last year too. So and we usually play a bend and don't break type defense, and it's not going to really change. I know Babich is calling plays, but the scheme and the philosophy is McDermott's, and it's not going to change as long as he's here. So we might be giving them hey, take this part of the field, and we'll give it to them until we stop them. And if they take advantage of it, it'll be a tough team to stop, especially if we can't stop the run. Like Dennis mentioned, one of my keys to victory was the same thing he put: keep Kyler in the pocket. You have to make him beat you with his arm, even though he can. Yeah. But as soon as he starts running outside the pocket, scrambling and creating off-script plays, then that's when we start getting in trouble. So gotta keep him maintained and try to let him beat you in the air.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I do want to get to Dennis's other comment here that he mentioned. How do you think the defense is going to look against the Cardinals? And that's a great question, Dennis. I love it, and I appreciate you for commenting on this. I especially with a new defensive coordinator in Bobby Babich calling the plays. This is one of those times in the season where you have to see where you're going to get out there. And I know, obviously, in the preseason, we didn't see exactly what Bobby Babich was going to call. But he's going to probably have to rely a little bit on Sean McDermott, too, because this is the first time that he will be calling plays. But he's been with the Bills for a number of years. He's very energetic. He's very focused on what he's going to see out there on the field. He loves to study. He's one of the guys that comes into the building early on in the morning. And it's definitely something. I had to read another message that came in as well. So it's definitely going to be one of those interesting developments to see what happens with Bobby Babich. Bills fan CA coming into the chat saying, I hope doggone it shows up, Brett. Love his energy. Hopefully he does show up, but I don't know. It's not me. I'm going to tell you that right now. Everybody thinks that doggone it's me, but it's not me. I promise you that. So I swore I'll take a lie detector test on the channel and everything. Whatever I have to do, it's not me. Doggone it is not me. I promise you.
But yeah, I mean, our defense, we'll see. It's like you guys mentioned in the chat, you just want to win week 1. And I know week 1 doesn't dictate whether you're going to be good or bad, but you definitely want to start off on the right side of it by getting a win. Especially us, because I'm going to be the negative guy real quick. Our season could be over by week 7 if we mess around and don't play well, because you got this game, Arizona, Then you got Miami, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Texans. Those were all 4 playoff teams. Oh, Jags would have been a playoff team, but then you got the Jets afterwards, who are looked at as the best team in all of existence. So you got 5 real tough games after the week 1 game. So if you go 1-5, your season's basically over with. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm saying we're gonna learn a lot about this team in the first 6 weeks. So you want to get on the right side of it, and you're going to have hiccups, you're going to make mistakes, but as long as you play solid football, you stay disciplined, you don't get 12 penalties and turn the ball over 3 or 4 times. That's positive, and then you can move into week 2. It's a short week, so you want to be as dialed in as possible, make as little mistakes as possible, and then you go into week 2 and you keep building and building. But we got to take it 1 week at a time. So again, I'm not expecting perfection week 1, but we got to come out and play good football. We can't just be lazy and come out slow or not finish strong. We have to play 4 quarters of great football, whether we put up 40 points or 24, as long as it's great football all across the board.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that has happened over the last couple of years for Buffalo, besides the Rams game a couple of years ago, is we've started off very slow, especially when we played the Steelers a couple of years ago, where we didn't really have the starters in there. We got to come out fast out of the gate, and we got to get into a rhythm on offense, number 1. On defense, we also have to just keep our gap integrity. That's one thing that I think is going to be important, is staying within your lanes when you're going up against a mobile quarterback like Kyler Murray. Don't let him get outside containment on you. And in the run game, you've got to be able to stop James Conner to make this game one-dimensional. Because when you have Kyler Murray that can go out there on the field and he can utilize the play action where he's getting guys like Trey McBride out there in open space and Marvin Harrison Jr., it's going to be a tough game for the Buffalo Bills. And if you have somebody like Kyler Murray that gets open, and he can run the ball, he can get James Conner going for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards to carry, whatever the case may be, then the Bills defense is going to be in trouble right away. It really comes down to, can the Bills on defense control the line of scrimmage, number 1, and can they contain Kyler Murray? That's the other thing that I need to see. And I need to see the run game do a lot better job staying within themselves and allowing 3rd and longs in this game. That's what I really want to see.
I agree. I love that.
Let's get to the comments real quick. I do see a couple of comments that came in. Trey Williams coming in. He says, I can't find one all-22 guy that says anything but the Cardinals defense weaknesses is the Bills' strength, the run. Lots of new pre-snap motion on this off-season from Babbage. And also Dennis coming into the chat saying, I think one thing about all of the changes on offense is I'm not sure teams know exactly what we will do. That's very true as well.
2 great comments. Yeah. And the Cardinals front, they struggle as it is, and they lost a couple of it was their 1st round draft pick this year and their 1st round draft pick 2 years ago. I think they're both hurt. There was one pretty decent pass. He was a linebacker. I think his name starts with a G, but he was pretty good for him last year. He wasn't like super consistent, but he was a high motor guy who made a couple plays. But at the end of the day, there's no reason why both sides of the trench warfare shouldn't dominate the Cardinals. Like I said, their offensive line isn't that great. And then Jonah Williams is their new right tackle, who had a failure over the last couple of years in Cincinnati on top of injuries. So, obviously Von Miller's not starting anymore. He said he's going to be he's a 3rd down specialist basically now. He's coming off the bench. So that basically means AJ and Rousseau are starting. So whoever's with, they both need to contain the edge, dominate the edge, and keep Kyler there, and dominate their tackles whenever they have to go up against them, and they get a chance to rush the passer. So, and then our offensive line should absolutely dominate them as well. That's why I was saying we always go through and talk about them every week and do the film, but you should expect them to do well, even with it being, week 1, because the Cardinals defensive line is so, average or below average. So Obviously, we're not going to say, oh, they're back to being the best top 5 offensive line like last year because of 1 week. But they should be. If they're not dominating this week, there should be a cause for concern, is basically what I'm saying. And like Dennis said, the best part about this is we could have so many different looks. This is brand new. So we can 1 week do one thing, and they can plan for it in week 2 against it, and then we just pull out another part of the book that nobody saw in week 1, and then people are, oh, what are we going to do now? So definitely interesting, and I expect to see some new things tomorrow, but don't be surprised. Again, I forgot where I saw it though, but probably like 70% of all plays are the exact same for everybody. So don't be surprised if you see things that Dorsey did, because like when everyone complained about the zone running, they call it, the shotgun running that they don't like. It's just zone running out of the shotgun. They're going to keep doing that because we like to run zone run schemes. So as well as gap, but that's not going to go away just because Brady took over.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see what type of offense we're going to have with Joe Brady out there. This is the question that I'd love to ask the chat, especially early on in the show. And with it being the first game of the year, who do you think is going to get the first catch from the Buffalo Bills this season? The first catch of the 2024 season, who catches it?
It's going to be a screen to Samuel.
Screen to Samuel. I'm going to say, and be bold, I think the Bills are going to go deep. They're going to utilize Keon Coleman, throw it deep down the field to him, and showcase that he is a speedster that can go down the field, and that 4.6 40 is something that is going to surprise people. Jason coming into the chat here saying that he's watching from Arizona, super excited for the game. Love Josh. Hell, I'm from Wyoming, and but it's a rare day. I'm not rooting for him. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming into the chat. It's about 6:50 or so over there on that side of the pond. So it'll be interesting to see. Jessica Tennis coming into the chat saying Dalton Kincaid.
That's what I wanted to go with. I just felt like I think they're going to start with a screen. I don't think they'll throw to Kincaid in the screen, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hit him in the middle of the field, on a crosser. But yeah, that would be my second option is Kincaid. I just want it to be a completed pass, but I also think we might run it first play.
Well, I'm not saying first play. Who will be the first?
You mean the first? Oh, the first actual. Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter if it's the first play of the game. I think the first play is going to be a run. I mean,
I'll still say Samuel with the first catch.
Look at this bold statement from Doggone It coming in saying Quentin Morris getting the first catch. That would be interesting to see.
That would be cool. Yeah. It's definitely interesting.
Trey Williams coming into the chat saying Shakir first catch, easy throw to get Josh going.
There's so many different, because you can see it every way, so that's why it's funny. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to stick with the Samuel screen pass, and I think that's a good way to start. Maybe.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even want to run the ball first. I would maybe just do the screen pass first because it's an extension of the run, and then that could open up a big play. But it's more than likely. I mean, it's 50-50 chance of it being a run, so I can see that happening too.
Yeah, we got a little bit of chat coming in here. I do want to mention from Doggone It. This is something that was relayed to me from the owner of Nickel City Mafia. If you have a chance where you can reach out to Mike Fortin from the Nickel City Mafia, he would love to hear from you. His email is nickelcitymafia@gmail.com. Send him a message. He would love to have you on the show. So if you're able to get on camera, you do have a camera, you have a microphone as well, he would love to have you come on the show sometime. Also, Bills Fan CA coming into the chat saying, I'll rep for Jake. Reggie Gillum gets the first catch. That's a great person that could get a catch. I would love to see that as well. So, Sean, one thing I want to mention, the Cardinals defense going up against the Bills offense. Let's talk about your favorite topic, which is the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills going up against the defensive line of the Arizona Cardinals. They have a couple of weapons out there in Zaven Collins as well as I'm going to say his name wrong, but Dennis Gardick, who had the most sacks for them last season with 6 sacks.
Yeah, that was the guy I was thinking of.
Mm.
That he has a high motor. I liked his game. Yeah.
So I know that this is very early on in the season and everything, but how do you like that matchup between the offensive line and the defensive line of the Bills going up against the defensive line of the Cardinals?
Oh, I love it. I think we match up very well. Obviously, they're missing a couple of their high draft picks from this year and last year with injuries, so that makes it even more favorable for us. But we just saw Spencer Brown get an extension. We don't know the details yet. As soon as we do, I'll put out a video for that. But now that you get paid, there's a different expectation for you. So I wanted him to wait until after this year, because if he balled out again this year, I would be fine paying him 20-something million a year. But he only has one out of 3 good years of play. But now his expectation is you got the contract. So now you have to take even a bigger step to elevate your game. Like Jessica said, they should dominate. I anticipate them dominating. And again, if we don't see them dominate, whether it's week 1 or not, we should be concerned.
Yeah.
And again, people remember, I know, like, because not everybody pays attention to the O-line like certain people do. So I remember, some games when Josh does leave the pocket early sometimes, but people need to understand he does that purposely because the receivers might not get open. Or he thinks, if I move around and they got their backs to me, it'll make it easier for my weapons to get more leverage or get open better. Right. So it's not, whenever you see Josh scramble, it's not because the O-line isn't holding up. Because you always hear people, he was running for his life. And then you watch the film and you're like, he only got pressured like 4 times out of like 40 snaps. So just remember, it's not all what you see, because they don't really show you the receivers downfield. They just show you the pocket. So
right,
just watch the matchups. And again, I think we match up pretty well. And I still think David Edwards is a liability as a starter. So we got to see how that works. But other than that, I think we match up very well across the line.
Yeah, I agree.
Blocking and pass blocking.
Yeah, I agree. And with a couple of new faces in there with David Edwards and Connor McGovern, it's going to be interesting to see how the snaps are going to be from Connor McGovern. That's going to be one of the biggest areas that I'm concerned about, having a new center, which isn't going to be Mitch Morse. I believe this will be the first time in Josh Allen's career that he won't have Mitch Morse out there at center. So that'll be very concerning for me if something does go wrong. But the Bills do have Will Clapp that was elevated from the practice squad out there. It's anticipated by many out there, but that Cedric Van Pran will not be active for this game. So we will have Will Clapp out there as well if Connor McGovern doesn't do a good job. But I expect to see him do a good job out there. Jason coming into the chat saying defense should be better than everyone thinks. Only weakness is probably edge for us. Yeah, I agree with that. But the other thing is 2 new safeties out there as well. So, Sean, this is the interesting thing about the defense here. And I know we're kind of jumping back and forth, but I want to get to the chat and
that's good.
Get everybody's comments out there as well. A new secondary for the Buffalo Bills in terms of the safety room. You got Taylor Rapp out there, and you have DeMar Hamlin making his first start for the Buffalo Bills in over 2 years since that scary injury, I will say, that happened out there. And what a moment to be back in Highmark Stadium for the first game of the year of the 2024 season, having DeMar Hamlin make that start. It's going to be electric. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be so exciting to have him out there on the field. And I know my wife's going to be wearing her number 3 jersey, which doesn't have DeMar Hamlin on it, but it does have our last name. But it's dedicated for DeMar Hamlin. So I can't wait to see that out there. But how do you think the secondary is going to do for the Bills? Do you see any issues, or do you think that Sean's going to get the secondary ready to go?
Yeah, they're new, but they're not at the same time, because Rapp played games for us all last year, and DeMar started for us 2 years ago. So they're new together starting, but they've been in this defense. They played, again, Rat played a good amount for us last year as well. And Douglas played last year with us, and Benford's in his third year. So at the end of the day, I'm not really concerned about it. Like I said, we coach up our secondary pretty well. Also, we run a lot of zone and cover too, so it's not like anything they haven't done before. And if the corners get beat, the safeties are always over the top for help. And then Rapp is good if he has to go down in the box. And we've seen DeMar, be really good in run support. And every DB gets beat, even the best ones. So people were bringing up, oh, DeMar got cooked. Well, yeah, because he had Jaquan Johnson playing behind him,
right?
And he got cooked as well. So you even see Jalen Ramsey get cooked. You see Sauce Gardner get cooked. He got cooked for an 80-yard touchdown against us. So it just happens. So I'm not really concerned about that because I know that he knows what to do and where to be,
right.
And what positions he needs to be at certain times in the game.
Right.
Obviously, they don't have the same telepathic connection like Poyer and Hyde, but I think altogether they'll be fine. And at the end of the day, sometimes we play bend and don't break, so they're going to give up. They're going to let them stay in front of them. They're going to keep everything in front of them and not give up the deep ball. I think they can do that. And again, we'll see how it goes as the year goes. I anticipate Hamlin's not going to be the starter the entire year. Or if he is, they're still going to work in guys like Edwards and Bishop. So I'm just excited. I'm happy for DeMar because people, they looked at last year and they were saying, stupid shit like, he's only on the team because he had a heart attack and they feel bad. They don't want to cut him. At the end of the day, let's think about it from this angle. If he never got hurt, imagine how good he could be right now. Because in his first year as a starter, because Hyde went down after game 2, when he shouldn't even have been out there anyway because we were winning 40-10, and he got hurt in like the end of the fourth quarter. But that's neither here nor there. That's just another McDermott failure. He went out and did really well. So imagine if he never got hurt, ended up playing a lot the following year. Who knows where he could have been by now? We could be like, wow, he's gonna be fighting for a Pro Bowl and possible All-Pro position, even so. And again, this is all just speculation, but we don't know that. He was on the trajectory of being a good player, and he had that traumatic injury. And people don't look at that. They don't look at the heart attack as like an ACL tear. They look at it, oh, he should be good now, right? But it's just more than getting back on the field. It's the huge mental aspect.
Gain your confidence again too. That's the other thing.
So yeah, sure, he didn't do a lot last year, but now it seems like after a full year of it being over with, that he's ready to go and make that next step. So I'm excited for him, and he has an opportunity now. He's in a spot where he can make it so Bishop and Edwards never see the field if he plays well. Same thing with Rapp. If they both go out there and play exceptional, there's no reason to play Bishop and Edwards at all. So it's up to them now.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't imagine being out there for the first time or making your first start after an injury like this. And it's going to be interesting if you see Hamlin play open like he normally would, or is he going to play a little reserve? I'm just hoping that he doesn't play conservative and give up a couple of big plays because he's afraid to get a hit. I don't think that's going to be the case. So
I think he's good. Yeah, like Dennis said, that's the point I agree with. If he continues to where he left off, because he was on his way. The coverage, you can just learn that, as the time goes. You're just getting used to being in the NFL. He has the will to tackle. He was a ferocious tackler, and he was always around the football. So he has all the skills that we really would want. And the coverage that just comes with being in the system and playing in the NFL more. So love that, Dennis, and I think I'm more than happy to give him a chance. And like I said, I'm all for the future, but Hamlin's still young too. So if Bishop doesn't get on the field as much as we want because Hamlin's balling out, I'm fine with that. And then you still have Bishop in the back pocket if you want to bring him in on a certain package. And I'm sure you could always switch out Hamlin and Rat for a series just to give him a break if you want to put one of these guys in. But like I said, they both have the opportunity to make sure either Rapp and Edwards and Bishop never see the field again if they both play exceptionally well, which I think they could. So it's all up to them. We'll see. It'll be definitely fun to watch. I'll be focusing on them when I'm not trying to focus on my defensive line and my offensive line. But
I think if Trey McBride starts to get open in this game, I think what will happen is the Bills will pull DeMar Hamlin off the field, and you'll see Cole Bishop come into the game because he was so good at Utah going up against different tight ends. And when you have a guy like Cole Bishop, who was a second-round pick, going up against Dalton Kincaid in practice for the last 2 years, I think it's going to be so important to have him out there on the field. And when you have an asset like that on the bench, you're going to see him on the field more often than not. Doggone It comes into the chat saying Hamlin would be a good candidate for an interception, as well as Alan Podger coming into the chat saying, I think Hamlin will be awesome. Yeah, I agree. I agree, but
I really do.
Like I said, if you see Trey McBride start to get open a little bit too much, then that's where I can see Cole Bishop get into the game because he does such a good job in coverage. But Sean, let's move on to another area that I want to talk about that I guarantee you weren't even expecting for keys to the game. But I want to talk about special teams because we don't talk about special teams ever on our shows. And this is a good time to do it. But I'm thinking about the start of the season and what we saw last year, how it ended. Tyler Bass, what's your confidence level in him right now?
100%.
100%. I want to know from the chat, guys. We got 15 people out here in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. What's your confidence level right now in Tyler Bass? I know a lot of the media is kind of concerned about Bass and how he's going to do this season, but I know Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have given him full confidence and said that, we're going to rely on him throughout the whole entire season. We're not worried about what's going on. It's going to be one of those years where I need to see a lot out of Tyler Bass, and I think he will show up quite often. Dennis comes into the chat, 7 out of 10. Let us know, guys, your thoughts on Tyler Bass.
And I'm not just saying I'm 100% just to be the different one out of the community, but like I mentioned it before, something like kicking is such a mental aspect of football. Right. You don't need to be the strongest guy. You don't need to be the fastest. You don't need to be the smartest, but it's really, really hard on your mental. So if I just feel if he can truly believe in himself again, then I have no reason to be worried for him. If he starts missing, like Jessica said, then I'll be like, oh, great, here we go. But it's a new year, and like Alan said, I'm never nervous about him. And he had this edge about him before that you just loved, and it wasn't just the one eye black. It was just the energy he had, and he looked like a different person last year when a miss compounded into something really bad for him. And he never had people bring it up all the time. Oh, he was like 85%, 86%. That went down to 80% last year, or 79, whatever it was. He was never like top of the tier, 95 percentile of making kicks. But at the same time, last year when it happened, it was probably his most difficult stretch of missing kicks in big games where he wasn't doing that consistently. And then it really ate up at him. And then, of course, he goes in the playoff game, gets blocked, and then misses a big kick. And then in the Chiefs game, again, whether we would have won or lost, we don't know. But then he missed another big kick. So for him he just needs to go back out there and kick more field goals. That's the only way to get back your confidence in something. So I know it's completely unrelated, but when I was a kid, I was playing baseball. We called it the island. It was like in a little cul-de-sac, and it had a big patch of grass. It was probably like 300 feet. We used to play metal tennis on it, where baseball, metal bat with a tennis ball. But one time my cousin brought out a hard ball, and we usually didn't use hard ball because there was houses surrounding it. Anyway, he hit a line drive too close at me. It nicked off my glove and hit me right in the face, like all right here. My eye was like almost hanging out of the socket. It was horrible. And I loved it. I was a big baseball player. Then after that, I was scared of a baseball. So, one of the only things I remember my dad did with me with sports was he just went outside and chucked baseballs at my head until I stopped being afraid of catching a baseball. Then I ended up playing baseball and being very good at baseball later on in life. But the point of the story is, if I never went and got baseballs chucked in my face again, I never would have played baseball again because I would have been too afraid because of the ball. So Tyler Bass needs to go out there, every situation, whether it's a 20-yard kick, 30-yard kick, or whatever, get out there, say you're going to make the kick, make it, and then move on. That kick's over with. Now you erase that from your mind. Now it's just the next kick. That's all you got to worry about. So, again, I have full confidence in him until, like Jessica said, he gives me a reason not to be. But I think he can do it. And I expect him to have his best season as a pro.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Sean. And I think that the next opportunity is going to be the best mentality for him this offseason. I do want to get to Dennis's comment here. He says, honestly, how do you feel about the new kickoff rule, how it affects the game? I think we're not showing what they are going to do, especially in the preseason. I think that what we've seen so far is extremely vanilla from every team. I don't think you're going to see exactly what they're doing. I don't think that really anybody knows what they're going to do yet. That's one thing I like about it. But we do have new guys that are going to be out there returning kicks for us, and with Covington coming from the Jets and his fielding decisions, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the Bills decide to do. And you're going to have a lot of speed out there. But once you get through the first group of guys, I mean, you're gone. So I think the days of like Devin Hester going for 20 touchdowns in his career, I think those days are gone. But I expect that the field, in terms of the field position, is going to be very interesting to see who comes out there on the field. And I expect that with Covington out there for the Bills, I expect to have the ball around like the 30 to 35-yard line each and every time that he touches the ball.
We'll see how I feel about us, our team doing it. I guess it's really for every team. If you believe in your coverage, kickoff coverage to make a stop, I would always kick it in the drop zone. If you weren't confident in them, I would kick it out of bounds every time behind the end zone and give them the ball at the 30. Because if you know you can kick it in that landing zone and pin them at the 19 or the 15 or the 20 or the 21, do it every time. But if you got to feel, if you can't trust them and you got guys missing tackles and not getting down in time and getting blocked down, I'll just kick it back of the end zone, give them the ball at the 30. But yeah, no, it took many years to fix that. But yeah, I'm still not a big fan of the rule. Everyone thought it would bring great change, and I thought it could bring too much change. And now it just seems like the two teams that we saw are kind of just thinking how I was thinking, where they're just going to kick it out of bounds. I think there was 2 returns the first game out of 11, and it might have been 3 or 4 last night. So I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see it. But
I like what Jason says here, Brett. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no worries.
I think if the punishment was more severe, and I think Mike brought it up too. If it was the 35 or the 40, you got the other one. His teams would put it out.
No, I just want to get to the first one.
Oh yeah,
and then I'll put the second one out there. Yeah, I think teams will boot it out of the back until doing so brings it out to the 35-yard line. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what teams decide. Jessica Tennis does come in saying drop zone unless you are up by 2 scores or more.
I'm the same personally. I'd be nervous if we kick in the drop zone with our coverage team, especially because we lost a couple key special teamers. But again, if they're ruthless getting to the ball and just ferocious tacklers, kick it in that zone every single time and then pin them back as far as you can. And real quick, I just want to mention, I was sick and tired of people complaining about the field last night. And I'm sick and tired of it because all these NFL players do is cry. Oh, we need more money. We need this. We need less games. Oh, we hate turf. But then as soon as you get a grass field with a little bit, it was a little bit hybrid where it was still turf but majority ryegrass. They cry because they're slipping. Well, that's what grass is like. I don't know if you know it or not. I mean, I played on grass my entire life, and that's what happens if you don't clean your cleats off, and if they take good care of it, it's going to be a little bit slippery sometimes.
Yeah.
So and I didn't watch any of the post game, but I knew if the Eagles lost, Nick Sirianni would have been up there. Yeah, the field conditions were horrible. So now they're going to complain about having grass. They complain about having the turf. Well, what do you want? This field that they used in Brazil, they used it for the World Cup. They used it for the Olympics at one point. This is probably the best kind of field you could play on. The soccer players play on it, and you know how the soccer players are. They need the best, or they're not going to play on it. So it was just annoying for me to even in the announcers. The announcer said every like 5 minutes, "Oh, these conditions. This is what they want." The NFL players want grass. They always tell you, "We want grass. We want grass." You finally get it, and then you're slipping, and then you're complaining. So I just wanted to throw it out there quick because it just popped in my head.
Yeah, we have our first super chat coming in. This has been a while since we had a super chat come in. Dennis, appreciate you so much. He says that they both played on the same field. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and the Eagles were slipping more. And I know the Packers did a little bit, but that's on their equipment staff to make sure you got the proper equipment. Like I said, when I was in high school, we didn't play on nice grass. We played on grass that was like, the thinnest of grass blades and the divots everywhere, and the dirt was hard. So it wasn't the best grass, but this grass is taken care of and watered and treated nicely.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just putting out a comment real quick, so I apologize, but I want to send Dennis a little appreciate you message.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Really appreciate you coming in and super chatting us. Jason comes into the chat as well. I won't say exactly what he says, but yeah, I saw him slipping last night. I was thinking, man, leg didn't get stuck in the turf. You fell, but your leg isn't trashed. Yeah. Especially with Jordan Love being out now between 4 to 6 weeks with the MCL sprain, that's going to be difficult for them with Malik Willis coming in. And
they might be done too.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But Sean, let's get back to the Cardinals and Bills game. Let's start talking about that again. Number one, man, I want to know from you, what keys to the game do you think the Bills need to do to win this game?
I'll just go to what I said in my pregame show. You got to stop the run, whether it's Kyler or James Conner. Got to keep Kyler in the pocket. And then we got to be able to establish the run. And I say attack the middle of the field. There's no – I mean, if you got to go deep, you can. But I'm not trying to compare it to the Chiefs, but I'm using them as an example because they won the Super Bowl last year. They had 4 plays above it was like 30 or 40 yards last year. Mm-hmm. 4 the entire season. So you don't have to throw a 50-yard pass touchdown to win football games. So I'm fine with dicing up the middle of the field. I'm fine with being in that 10 to 20 yard range, hitting your guys, because that's what we got. We got route technicians and speedsters where you want to get them the ball, let them do what they do. So you see the open guy, get him open and throw him the ball, give him some lead the pass to him, and let him see what he does with the ball.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's going to be just see what they can do. I think yards after the catch is another area that I want to see from the Bills this week. Josh getting it to his guys and putting the ball in the right situation for them to get yards after the catch. That's what I'd really like to see. But for me, it comes down to just gap integrity on defense, staying within your lane, setting the edge, not getting outside, and over pursuing when you're going up against Kyler Murray. And having a guy that can, number one, be the spy on him. I think it's going to come down to Terrell Bernard doing that, which kind of concerns me about who's going to be covering Trey McBride out there. But I think that'll be either Taylor Rapp or maybe even Taron Johnson covering him.
Yeah. So, and think about this too, Brett. The Cardinals beat the Eagles and the Cowboys last year without Kyler Murray and without Marvin Harrison Jr. So they put up points. Like it was like 20. I think they put like 20 in the Cowboys. So they're going to be able to put up points. So we can't take the. I mean, I know it doesn't matter for fans, but the players got to go out there and treat it like it's a damn Super Bowl. You should treat every game like that, because any team can get you any week. And you don't think the Cardinals want to go out there and prove that they're better than a 4-12 team or a 4-13 team like they were last year? They're way better than that. They might not be a 10-7 team. They're going to be giving people fits all year, even with a rough defense. And that is their weakness, like Jason mentioned. But again, they're also missing two of their key guys in the defensive line. But they still got guys like Budda Baker out there in the secondary who they're going to look, and they know tendencies. And I'm pretty sure Budda Baker was the guy. No, it was Peterson. Never mind. But I remember one time when Peterson picked off Allen because Gabe Davis. He's like, I know how Gabe Davis runs his routes. I know he only runs a few of them. I know he does this when he's about to do this one, and that's how I picked him off. So guys like Budda Baker are built the same way, where they're just true vets of the game, and they're going to be looking at all of Allen's tendencies, all the receivers' tendencies, and he's going to be looking for stuff. And if Allen's not paying attention, Budda Baker's going to come out of nowhere, and we're going to be like, there we go. So take what they give you. Pay attention. You don't have to win the game in the first quarter trying to be a hero and throw a pick.
Yeah, I want to come into go into the chat real quick because we got Jason and Dennis coming into the chat saying that this is one of the only Bills podcasts that I've felt you guys are being honest with where you think your team is, fist up to being straight up, and we really do appreciate you, Jason and Dennis, coming into the chat. This is one of those channels that I want you guys to know. We are the types of guys that we're upfront, honest about how we feel about our teams. You know, being honest with you, yeah, we are a little concerned, as we always should. You know, we're thinking about it as not only podcasters, because a lot of these people that are out here in the Bills channel, and I'm not going to name names when it comes to it, but a lot of them are guys that they try to make you sway one way and try and hype up the team and everything. But we're just guys that we're passionate Bills fans, number one. We get what you see out there on the field. We see it as you do, guys. And we're just relaying it to you. And that's how we do it. We talk about what we see and how we feel. And it's going to be upfront, honest. That's how the Ruthless Show is. That's how we made it. And we really want you guys to know, each and every one of you that is watching, that how much we appreciate you guys. So without you, we couldn't make this show possible. And I want to give a shout out to each and every one of you guys that is watching, coming into the chat as well. Sean, let's go back to keys to the game. Any more keys to the game that you have?
Yeah, just got to dominate in the trenches. Like I said, we got a favorable matchup, and this should be one of those times where you really impose your will. And again, they still have guys that can make plays, but our guys got to make more plays and prove that we still want to be a top 6 offensive line like we were last year. And we want to make David Edwards wants to prove Sean wrong, that he's not a liability at left guard. And
right.
McGovern has to prove to me that Van Pran should never be starting, even though I think McGovern should be back at left guard. But yeah, they just got to get out there and show who they are. And this is a team where a lot of people see regression, and they could regress, yeah, but there's still potential to be a great team. But it's all up to them. It's not given. It's not going to be that same Bills team where everyone has confidence in. They have to earn everybody's confidence. They still have the quarterback. They still have stars on defense. They still have offensive firepower, but they got to prove it. So prove it to all of us week 1, take care of business, and then move forward into week 2 and take it 1 week at a time. That's it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And what Dennis says here, I mean, if you win in the trenches, you usually win the ball game. Just don't turn the ball over. Biggest key.
Great key. Yeah, great key there. Yeah.
Great keys that he's saying there. I think that those are two important things. I think this game really comes down to running the ball. Kaiser White is somebody that we haven't talked about enough. But when you look at Kaiser White, he's one of those guys that he hasn't really established himself as being one of the elite players in the league. But, man, he is around the ball often for the Arizona Cardinals. And he's one of those players that reminds me so much of like a Levante David, where he does it all on the field. And I think that this kid is going to have his best season as a pro this year. And having him going up against not only James Cook in the backfield and trying to stop him, but Josh Allen and trying not to get him out there in open space, he's going to do a really good job of being around the ball. And I'm telling you right now, if he gets into a situation where it's one-on-one with Josh Allen, he will make the stop. So I want to see what the Bills do decide to do when they see Kaiser White out there. But it's going to, like I said, it's going to be a fun game, Sean, and I can't wait for it. Less than 24 hours from the start. Buffalo Bills football, guys. Be excited, be happy about that, because I know for sure that tomorrow Highmark Stadium is going to be rocking. And as I always call it, the old Ralph, but it's going to be rocking. And I wish I could be at this game so badly. It's going to be one of the games that I would love to go to.
Well, I hope it's fun. if they're playing like trash and turning the ball over and miscommunicating and dropping passes and blowing assignments, and I'm going to be like, waited all this year for this. And like I said, week one does not dictate whether you're going to be a good or a bad team, but you want to start off on the right foot. You want to win the first game, and you want to build off of that first game. So hopefully we come out and play like a team that wants to compete. They got to show it. Again, every week is a new week to prove who you are, players and team. So I would love to see a game where, because Jalen Hurts is a new turnover king so far as it comes to the NFL 2024. Should have had like 7 picks yesterday, and he only walked away with 2 and 2 fumbles and 1 fumble loss. So he's got 3 turnovers already. So, Josh, it's a new team, new offense, new you. You don't need and honestly, like, I know this is the last rambling part and we can wrap up. He threw 18 interceptions last year, but as you all love and I hate, a lot of them are arm punts. And I started thinking about it more. And it's not even the fact that it was an arm punt. It was the fact that they thought, hey, well, it is an arm punt, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to throw it and see if my guy can make the play. I don't think we're going to do that this year. I don't think we have the guys that are going to we thought, let's just throw it 50 yards downfield and hopefully Gabe Davis or Diggs can make a play. I don't think we're going to be that type of team this year. And I think that was probably like close to half of his interceptions were just chucking the ball 60 yards downfield, hoping someone catches it on a 3rd and long. So at the end of the day, I'd rather punt it because, again, it's a momentum thing. If you throw a deep pass and someone picks it off and they can take it to the house or they can get a big gain or they just get pumped up for making a turnover, that can get you into bad trouble. So I just feel like he's going to have a better year with that because he's not just going to be chucking the ball up on 3rd and long if there's nothing open just to see if Gabe Davis or Diggs can catch it. So looking forward to a cleaner season. I'm going to say he's going to stick between 8 and 12 picks, maybe a fumble or 2. But he's going to bring that turnover total down. That touchdown total is going to stay the same. And hopefully he has another great MVP-type caliber season.
I think he's going to have more touchdowns this season than last year because the pressure is off of him. I think total touchdowns he'll have more than last season.
Okay, I like that.
Prediction. I'm going to say over 50. Okay, now I'm not trying to be biased or anything on the Buffalo Bills. I really believe that this season, with all the pressure off of them, and this is a team that last season expectations were so high, they were Super Bowl caliber and everything. The pressure is off of the Bills. It kind of feels good to walk into this season and go, okay, the pressure is not on me. It's like when you go to school. You ever have this, Sean, when you're in college and everything, man, when you go to class and you're taking your final and you know that you have to get like a 15% on that final, and pretty much 15% is just writing your name on the test, and then you get that 15%. It's kind of how I feel about the Bills season right now. It's like, okay, and it comes down to this. Really, the expectations are off of us. All we have to do is just, play our game, play within ourselves, and that's how it's going to be. Instead of, we have to be in the Super Bowl, we have to beat the Chiefs, we have to beat, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens, all these different teams. Pressure's not on us this year. We're not expected to win right now. So let's just write the script for the Buffalo Bills and go out there, play Bills football, and put up points and do what we do best by leading with Josh Allen. And that's what I have to say. So, 50 touchdowns, I could see it happening, and I could see Josh Allen being MVP this season. But
I hope so. I mean, he's been hovering around that 47, 45, 44 total touchdowns. So again, Cook dropped a lot of them last year, and he threw a lot of turnovers that shouldn't have been even thrown. So who knows what he could do if he turns that down a little bit. But yeah, Jason, really appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys, Dennis, Jessica Tennis, everybody coming in here, Mike, doggone it. We can't do this without you. And hopefully when you see us next Saturday, we'll be excited about a win against Miami because we'll be playing Thursday night, and we'll probably be the post game, or we'll all join forces together, me, Mike, Jake, and Brett, and do the post game Thursday night. We'll see. I don't know what he has planned, but yeah, my final thought is I appreciate all you guys watching, whether you're a Bills team fan or not. Good luck to you and your team. Enjoy the season, and hopefully everybody stays as healthy as possible. And we'll see you next time. I'll throw it over to Brett now.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, Sean. One thing I do want to mention, and I want to ask you, Sean, because start of the Bills season, like we said, I want to know from not only you, but from the chat, what is your game day meal that you have to have each and every game day?
I don't have anything specific. I won't eat anything tomorrow because I just went out tonight with my wife and friends, and we had Korean barbecue and hot pot. So I won't eat anything tomorrow. I have my one cheat meal for the week, but I usually get some type of pizza. I live in New York, so we do have great pizza, but we don't have great wings like in Buffalo. It's all right. They don't have, we don't have a bar bill or anything, but some of the pizza places have decent wings, but it's not the same. But pizza and wings.
For me, I mean, tomorrow, here's what I'm doing. Just so, because I'm not in Western New York, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm in Florida. I'm near Tampa, Florida. I'm about 60 miles away from there. We call our town, based off of a person's name. We say, there's a girl named Sarah that, she was down a couple of bucks and she couldn't get a pop. So they named the town Sarasota. So that's pretty much what we call it. I'm going with pizza, wings, and my family likes the salad that I make. It's like a chicken salad, and I'm going to make that as well. Then we have a cookie and some cake, and just watch the games and chill out on my couch. And it's a little bit of a family time. They come over to my house and get to see my dog and just enjoy it. But yeah, Dennis coming into the chat as always. Buffalo chicken wings and beef on weck. Man, that sounds so good. I wish I was in Buffalo to have that. Weston coming into the chat. This local burger place, usually every Sunday, Fizz Burgers. Man, that sounds good as well. I have a Bills Backers bar across the street from my house. Some of the best chicken wings that you can possibly get. I'm actually making my own chicken wings. So I'm excited for that. Pizza.
Yeah, you can keep those over there.
Yeah. It's not the same as
don't let Hannah eat those. Make sure you try them first.
No, I've already made them before. So I always have a game ritual of making my own wings and everything. And just because down here you can't get good wings anywhere that you go. So I kind of just got this routine of making my own wings and trying it with buffalo sauce and everything. My family likes barbecue, so I do that for them and just enjoy it. So can't wait.
A nice one.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we will let you guys go. We appreciate everyone for joining us in the chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment on this video, and let us know your score predictions for the game. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. We will see you next time for another edition of the Red, White, and Ruthless on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. As always, and before we leave, score prediction real quick, Sean.
I don't know about score, but we'll win by 3.
Win by 3? I'm going to say we win by 2 touchdowns. And I know Jason's not going to be happy when he comes into the chat and everything, but I think we're going to win by 2 touchdowns. And nothing coming into the chat. One bite, everybody knows the rules. Appreciate that.
We'll see.
All right, guys, we appreciate you, and go Bills.
Go Bills.